Hello and welcome to the Webseries Digest. I'm Sara, and my guests today are...
Hi, I'm Daisy. You probably know me from School Spirit, but probably not. I made that last year, and now I am the cinematographer slash co-editor on As Told by Billy, which I think is the title that we're going for. But it's known to us as Shitsphere.
Very good. I'm Ingrid, Nixie, etc. I did a web series called The Great Tarmac Road, but no one knows that, and they are much more likely to know The Uncanny Upshurs, which is in its second season. Hooray!
Okay, for the purposes of disclosure, we originally recorded this episode on May 27th. It is now December 11th because I was in the midst of editing and realized that we had an audio problem, months later. So, hi guys.
Hi.
Welcome back.
What up? Webseries Digest.
Yeah, the good thing is that we don't remember what we said in the previous episode, so it's going to be just like you can't even compare it to the last one, to the old one, because it doesn't exist.
Great.
All right. Yeah. Well, today we're going to talk about casting and actors, casting is bizarrely one of my favorite things to do, but it's also because my first ever project, I had a really great, the first ever project I did by myself, I had a really good time with casting. So, let's start with how you guys cast. I'm gonna have Daisy go first, because I know that yours is not the most traditional.
Yeah, no. Yeah, With School Spirit, I had formal auditions, and 7 people showed up for 7 roles. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is my cast. And it turned out great. I mean, one of my cast members, because she was coming to campus to film, she was like, this is a pretty cool school. And now she's one of the actors in Shitsphere. So that was pretty neato. I didn't really have options, but it just happened to turn out well. And then with Shitsphere, it was mainly, because I'm not showrunner on that, but the showrunners who did, we just roped in a lot of friends, and basically the entire Agnes Scott Theater department. Whoops. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much you casting is at Agnes Scott Theater Department.
Hey.
What's up?
Who's around?
And so Ingrid, talk a little bit about casting.
Hello. Casting is an interesting thing. I mean, in the first show that I did, which is Great Tarmac Road, which is the Wizard of Oz web series, but I had auditions just at the college I was at that point. I was English college is like sixth form college, which is basically the last 2 years of American high school. So I was like 17, 18 while I was writing that and pre-productioning. And so it was all people from, either people who were my friends already or people who were at my college, but I basically knew all of them, and I was like, hey, I'm doing this, please come and do the thing. But that turned out really well for me because I got a lot of really good people. But I think part of that is I went to school in a very big area, so there was a lot of different types of people, and just a bigger selection of people. That being said, there was one person I auditioned who I didn't cast. So, same as Daisy, really. There was only one. But for Unups, a lot of the people I knew already, but a lot of them were from casting websites. And casting websites are actually really, really useful. And you do get a different kind of energy with people that you already know and with people who are like, you know, professionals doing this, but at the same time they expect a different kind of professionalism, which you may or may not have.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about like websites later on. Casting. So my first ever like short film I made, which is called Changeling, and I don't. Shannon always says it's not as bad as I make it sound. I think it's really bad. But you know, if you want to watch it, go ahead. It's about a little girl who gets stolen by fairies. But I cast that one almost completely off of Craigslist.
Which I don't understand. It's crazy and amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, I was casting all children. There is no adults in that film. So I was like going, like there was more respondents, I guess. There was more people looking for the roles in that age range.
A lot of stage moms.
Yes. Though all of them I dealt with, they were very, very nice. They were very nice, and they were like very understanding that I was like in high school and it was a student film and like it was like a silent movie, and they were all like just super cool. And one of the girls I cast in it ended up being on starring in a Nickelodeon TV show.
Nice.
That's wild.
Which I think I've mentioned previous on that. Yeah, it's called Talia in the Kitchen. The actress's name is Maria Cazada, I think is how you say your name. Of course, I've had no contact with her since this, but we like followed each other on Facebook, and yeah, so that was crazy. And then Tajwash, we did like a formal casting call. But the cast for Tajwash is so large. I think there was like roles that we never like cast, and we had to write out and stuff. And then I know that Shannon and Nicole got more into like backstage, because I know Jules, our mutual friend Jules, who is also on Uncanny Upshurs with Ingrid, had a lot of good experience with backstage, so they got into backstage. And then also Nicole has connections with the University of Central Florida dance department, because her sister's a dance minor, and so her like through like kind of like hopscotching got to the musical theater kids and the theater kids, and we occasionally cast through like word of mouth there as well. So yeah, so we've had decent luck.
Yeah, we've all had pretty good luck, I would say.
Yeah.
I think I weirdly think that kind of now going into like websites, I feel as though if I tried to cast again, I would post a casting call on Craigslist, since I had such good luck last time. But last time you know, the one and only time I've super like casted all by myself, I posted in multiple places.
Yeah.
There's a website that's called Green Room Orlando, which posts casting and crew calls in the Orlando area. And I posted on there as well. But I only got a couple responses from that. I predominantly got all my answers from Craigslist. Like, I'm not... Like, you know the Craigslist in your area?
Yeah.
Listener listening, you know just how sketch it is. I'd post there because you don't know who's checking, and it's free. And it's also kind of nice to see something on there that's not sex trafficking.
That's always a nice, refreshing
in the film
site.
On the film page. But you know, you can expand to other areas. I know backstage costs money.
Yeah, I have a little backstage rant.
Oh, go on. What's your backstage rant?
In order to get what you pay for, you need to be in a industry town. Like, Orlando works out because, you know, it's Orlando. And there are opportunities. Atlanta, because Atlanta has all the tax breaks, so all the sorts of movies film here. But when I go back to Columbia, there is nothing. Anywhere in South Carolina, I'm pretty sure there is nothing. Everything on backstage, it's like 100 miles away. So you gotta know your geography. You gotta know your availability.
Yeah, I mean, I would always do like a talent search thing before posting an ad, like just to see who's around in the area anyway, and how much, what kind of people you're gonna get. I mean, backstage is good, but there are other casting websites in England. There is both the Stage and Casting Call Pro. Which actually has rebranded itself. Now it is called Mandy Actors. For some reason, I have no idea why. But, they're both good and they don't cost money to post jobs anyway. They cost money if you're an actor, but not if you're a production company. But, yeah, I mean, essentially, I think it is a lot easier to find people, obviously where there are more people, who is around you, who's like into acting and that kind of thing. And if there are any listeners in the UK, hi, first of all, come work with me in a show, because we're probably like 20 miles away from each other. But also, no, I mean, It does, obviously, it completely depends where you are in here, just as in the US, but probably more in the US. I was at university in Bath, and it was particularly difficult to find people there. Especially I'm, I think Parafable and Daisy and everyone, as a rule, tries to cast a wide net when casting, and try and get a diverse group of people, and there was it was 95% white people in Bath, so it was just okay, well, I don't want to make any films here. But yeah, no, obviously it's easier in London, which is where I am, because there's just more people, and more, drama schools and that kind of thing.
More diverse. The BBC is there.
Yeah, I mean, the BBC, obviously, Cardiff is probably a good place as well. That's where the BBC actually shoots everything. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the BBC being here is that much of a thing. But no, there's a lot RADA and everything, and Central.
Yeah, I meant that more as a joke. Like here it would be oh, you go to LA. You go to LA because that's where all the movies are. Though it's being more and more you go to Atlanta because that's where all the movies are.
That's where all the movies shoot. I'll remind you that I couldn't move into my dorm when I moved in last year because Oprah was in my dorm.
And all Marvel's shooting there.
Yeah.
All the Marvel stuff. I have a Marvel fandom friend that just recently moved to Atlanta, and she was like, I really wanted to be an extra on a shoot, but you have to have 8 weeks of availability or something nuts.
Yeah.
Because it's all very hush-hush.
Same with Walking Dead. You have to, sign, so many, confidentiality things.
They do all the, they do Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor here. At thingy, Ealing Studios, I think. But, oh, what's it called? It might be Ealing Studios. I might be completely wrong. It's the one that's at Greenwich. Anyway, but no, they and I always joke that they're always in these movies where it's they spend most of the budget on the special effects and everything. They always cast comedy actors and British actors who are big because they cost less money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Have I told you guys about the one time that a movie cast Agnes Scott students as extras in the movie?
No, what movie was that?
It was Road Trip Beer Pong.
Okay. And see, this is why actors should go up for web series, because it's an alternative to this.
Because nothing says frat parties and keggers
Like Agnes Scott
than my 1,000 student liberal arts college film. No. They didn't cast us as like sorority girls or whatever. They had a scene about lugs, lesbians until graduation.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no.
And so they're like, hey, Agnes Scott students, y'all look gay.
Oh, God.
And so they cast Agnes Scott students in that. And
Jesus.
it
This
was
is the worst thing I've ever heard.
the worst. That's the one movie
we-
where Agnes Scott declined to be credited.
Jesus.
Can we camp out this movie and watch
It used to be on Netflix. I wonder if it's still on Netflix. Let me try.
I want to
Parafable
see
movie night.
I want to see
It is-
real gays pretending to be fake gays in the background of this dumb movie.
Offensive. It has Danny Pudi from Community.
Danny Pudi, my boy, what are you doing?
Doing the accent. He's doing the accent, guys.
What accent?
Think of the most offensive accent you can.
Oh,
that
no.
accent.
No, why? This is why, like, literally yesterday, I was like, Mum was like, oh, the second best exotic marigold hotel is on, and I was like, I don't want to watch that. So why? And I was like, it doesn't look amazing. I don't really want to watch Dev Patel pretend to have an Indian accent for, like,
Yeah. Here's a
3.5 hours
casting
or something.
tip. Don't make people put on offensive accents.
Don't make people
good call.
put on accents at all unless they can do it. It's just not.
Yeah, I was about to say,
it's just
Ingrid,
not.
Uncanny Upshurs is a thing.
Unless
Yeah.
they can
Put
do
on an
it.
accent.
I just Anyway,
Okay,
I'm
I
not
am
like
being
I
rude.
can't
Alright.
be. We can't be fussy. Getting back on track with web series actors.
Yeah. Okay, so let's. I don't know if I'll be able to. I can't. I don't know if I'll cut that or not. So let's keep going.
Sorry, Sara.
Casting. Let's talk about casting. Casting Friends is okay. Casting Long Distance is
Not okay.
okay.
No.
Don't.
No.
With the exception, I can think of two exceptions, where it has worked out with casting long distance. One is the entirety of Uncanny Upshurs, which works because there is Team Britain and Team America.
And also because people will get to places. I mean, the thing is, you and I mean different things when we say long distance. Like,
Yeah.
out of Unups, one, we have a cast member who lives in Oxford and another who lives in Birmingham. And both of those are about 3 hours away-ish.
Yeah.
Possibly a bit more. But that's, yeah, it's a lot. But, like, they've managed to do it, which is amazing. Now, also, another person's moved away, which is great. But, you know, it's all good. And they managed to do it, so...
Yeah, okay, I guess I
Thankfully.
should define casting long distance as the person will not physically be on set filming with you. They're either recording video and sending it in to you, or Skyping in, or something like that. Which is why, I should have defined that. Sorry, guys. So that's my definition of long distance, is that they will not they are too far away to physically be able to be on set.
Yeah.
So that's why my two examples are and Uncanny Upshurs, but that's because we've got Team America and Team Britain.
Yeah. So we've got people in the places.
Yeah, so they are filming with you, and then it's just you and Jules sharing footage back and forth. The other time it's worked out is during the filming of 12th grade, or whatever. Jules contacted me and Shannon, and by extension Elliot, and was like, hey, can Elliot film something for not Uncanny Upshurs, for 12th grade or whatever, so he could be Sebastian. But we already had, because we were in the midst of filming Taj Wash, we already had a setup. To be able to film that. So then we just filmed his couple of episodes.
Yeah, that's
there.
the thing.
Yeah, and it works out okay because you can tell it's not a real Skype call. Because don't record actual Skype calls, they're terrible.
No, that's hell. Don't do that.
It just doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. The video quality's graining, the sound's like not good. Like, and if you've got an otherwise like great camera and then you suddenly have this Skype call in there, it doesn't look good. If you can not don't include the Skype call episode anymore. Just don't do it. We did one for Hamlet, but everyone was in the same room, and Hamlet was also making fun of web series tropes. So, yeah, just that. Also, I'm just kind of. I think we might have mentioned this in an episode, but it's been so long, guys. Like, that's a really overdone trope too. The Skype call episode. Or Skype
I think
calls,
it can be okay. It's just like difficult to pull off now.
Yeah.
Because
there's been too many bad ones.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is realistic in terms of like, you know, how you would get a conversation across. But yeah, for no reason, it's weird, and especially if it's someone from far, far away in real life. No.
And make sense. Make sure that it makes sense. If you must do it, that it makes sense in the world. And not just like, oh, this person's randomly gone now, so we have to FaceTime, or whatever. Like,
yeah, or if it's an actor that you cast in long distance or whatever. So
yeah, and they have to Skype, not naming names, but you know. Also, don't cast before you write. Speaking of what I'm not going to name.
Oh, it just suddenly clicked for me. No tea, no shade, guys. Remember, we gotta like think of professional.
No tea, no shade.
We have to talk about actual real world high production.
But no, this is actually very important though. Daisy brings up a good point. Is that don't go into like production before pre-production, and what that means is like casting should be the last thing you do before you start filming. I know that sounds crazy because in you know the real world, in making films, it does not work like that. Like, you cast and you're still working on stuff, but that's because they can afford to make people wait, and they can afford to, like, you know, not tell people exactly when they're doing things immediately.
Yeah, not to mention with certain like bigger names, you want to get in there and be like, I want this block of time with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise they're gonna lose it.
Yeah, it's just like it's just so important to have everything ready. And you know, obviously it's good to be able to be flexible because things will go wrong. But casting should be the last thing you do. unless you're going to a second series, but then the first thing you do after writing should be, hey, when's everyone free? Please help me.
And if you have a friend or an actor from a previous project in mind while you're writing, like you start writing and you're like, oh, I'm writing this, I'm seeing this actor portray it. Like, I'm not saying you can't, like, or Ingrid's not saying that you can't, like, go and be like, hey, I'm thinking of you for this role.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd have time for it? That's, you know, that's different than being like sending out a casting call before you finished your script.
Yeah. Like, I wrote a lot of my school spirit characters with people in mind because I know that I wouldn't have much else resource-wise. And that just happened to work out, except one of the characters that I wrote with an actor in mind, they read the role and I'm like, could you read this role? And then I ended up switching those two characters.
Yeah.
So, like, if you like, oh, I wrote this with this person in mind, so I'm just going to announce it. Don't do that.
No.
Because you never know what will go wrong.
Yeah.
And kind of going off of that, because I realized that we got caught up in talking about, like, don't cast long distance. We didn't really talk about, like, casting friends. Which is, like, totally, like, do that. Because sometimes the way that web series can go and how long they can take and just how brutal they can be to film. Like, any film project can be pretty brutal, but web series especially, because they're longer and they're over a long period of time. Sometimes you have to cast someone who loves you enough to finish it.
Yeah.
So you don't have anyone walking
and
abandoning the project.
Yeah, and that isn't gonna just... Exactly. I think so much of this has a ton to do with accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to be like, hey, you, get over here. Without...
And there's a whole other energy when you cast someone who's enthusiastic about the material than someone who's just there as an acting gig.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with the Shakespeare cast, we'll film, and then we'll go to dinner, and we end up just talking about headcanons throughout the entire dinner. And that's, like, so refreshing
wonderful.
after having actors who are like, okay, that's it, you don't need me, okay, see ya.
Yeah, I have a whole bullet point on my little outline that's just find people you can trust. And then once you find those people you can trust, just cast them in everything.
Yeah. And that's another great thing about casting friends, is that when you know who's reliable, you can go back to them. When you know who has good chemistry, there are these two actors who have amazing chemistry, and I've cast them in literally every production I did. They were Eddie and Annabelle and Poe Party. They were in my directing scene. They're like my go-to, because I know that they are consistent and that they work well together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
On that
doesn't mean that they always have a great schedule for filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're wonderful, and you will cast them on everything. I'm thinking of Casey, because she is wonderful.
Casey?
Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
Casey from Hamlet and Dear Natalie, which is now airing.
Dear Natalie,
Dear
it's a
Natalie,
good
watch
show.
It's so good. It's so good.
You know what the best friends to cast in your web series are? Other people who make web series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because for one,
They understand.
they get this shit. I'm sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to swear in this podcast.
You are allowed to swear. You are allowed to swear.
Family
A-Star.
podcast.
Okay, I'm bringing back A-Star, by the way. I haven't said it in a while, but I feel like I would have in May, so it's coming back. But, no, I mean, what's, like, the most, I think the most important project that I have been in recent times is Daring Fables by Parafable. And that's just all web series creators. And therefore...
Oh my god, we hadn't started Daring Fable. We recorded the rest of those episodes.
That's mad.
Guys, Parafable has a D&D podcast.
It is
Listen to it.
It's called
amazing.
Daring Fables.
As
And
the
it's
only
great.
unbiased party here, I can say it's amazing.
Thank you, Daisy. You have to guest in it at
Thank
some
you,
point
Days.
in
Yes.
life.
Please.
We're
I have my
just gonna
character already.
collect web series creators and be like, hey, be in our dumb show.
What do you mean that's not what we did?
That's true.
That is kind of what happens.
That's true. That is literally what happened. I mean, yeah, as a web series creator, when you have made a thing, I mean, obviously watching other people's thing before you make yours is a good idea, but having made a thing, watch other people's stuff and, like, be like, hey, oh my god, that was really good. But, like, don't try and just get in with people, like, randomly. If you really like the thing, like, this is the thing, like, I talk to a lot of web series creators, and it's like, they're cool and whatever, and I'm cool with them. But the ones that I'm, like, tight with, aka these people
Heyo.
that I am talking to right now, and also the rest of Thunderdome, which is what we call it. So we're just great friends. No, it's
Parafable and also Daisy.
Parafable and Daisy. Daisy joined Parafable. It's important.
Nicole's technically not part of Parafable. Isn't that nuts?
No, I know. I mean, but that's Nicole on her own isn't part of Parafable, but Nicole doing everything she's done since BGP is. So
It's Parafable. Nicole, stop resisting if you're
Nicole,
listening to
stop
this.
resisting.
Nicole, formerly drawing Parafable Nicole. But
Oh, dear.
yeah, I wanna insert here because we're kind of talking about our own little web series
Yeah,
click.
sorry.
Don't be afraid to come talk to us if you're a new web series creator.
no,
Don't be
no,
afraid to come talk to
totally.
Parafable.
I
Like,
think,
I know we're all super tight and it's probably a little bit scary.
yeah.
I mean,
But
I was totally not this tight with you guys when we recorded this in May because I wasn't even part of the group chat until after I
That's true.
recorded my first episode.
until after I added you without permission.
And look at us. Well, that was after.
That is what happened. That is what happened.
Oh, I suddenly feel unwanted.
No.
No, I wanted you, clearly.
Sarah just added you and we were like, wait, should we have discussed this?
Probably.
But no, it's cool. No, I mean, legit, there are people in that group chat though that don't that don't know what the fuck is going on.
Who
in
are they? What are their names?
There's Meg, Jay,
Aubrey's there sometimes.
Shout out to Aubrey.
Aubrey.
Bates is technically in there.
Oh, Bates. No, Bates has left.
Oh, she did leave?
Yeah, they were like,
They did. They.
they were like, I figured it was time. I haven't said anything for a year, so. But no, I mean, basically, yeah. What the point of what I was saying was try and find people. You know, if you get really into a show, for one thing, people will love to hear anything you have to say about their show. That's the whole life. We all live for that, but also
Yes, validate us.
yeah, also finding people who have the same sort of sense of humor as you or the same kind of way of telling stories is really good. Like, I mean, you know, this is why me and Jules, you know, ended up writing a show together, and our writing gels pretty well together because we have the same kind of what's it called? I don't know. I can't remember. I can't
You have the
think
same
of the word.
sort of storytelling sensibilities.
Yeah, exactly. We have the same sort of approach. That's what I was trying to say. What the hell? Why did I forget that? Anyway, but yeah, we have the same sort of approach to stories and to that kind of thing. But yeah, yes. After that small giant digression, Sarah, what's the next thing we have to talk about regarding actors?
Okay. So the next thing.
Oh,
And
Daisy,
this is the kind of.
Sarah.
This is the part where.
I had
I'm sorry.
a little point. Do you guys make
Okay.
your actors watch other shows before you film a show?
No.
Yes.
Except for Eddie Rex.
Yeah, Eddie Rex makes sense.
I don't make people watch anything, but I am like, you know, when I'm doing vlog shows, I am like, oh, you should watch. Well, you know, if you want to get into the sort of rhythm of it, these are some good shows to watch to get you sort of.
Yeah, I
for-
didn't mean like make, but like, hey, if you're interested in what
yeah.
this is going to be like,
Yeah,
check
yeah,
out
yeah.
this show.
Yeah.
I mean,
God, it's
honestly,
been so.
the ones that I do go for now in terms of talking to people about what the kind of vibe of the thing is well, if it's Unups, I just say go watch the first season of Unups. But you know, other kind of stuff, it's like watch Hamlet the Dame, please, because that's only 20 episodes. Everything else is a million.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think. Please remember, this was literally 4 years ago. I think season 1 of Taj Wash, we didn't tell people to watch the Lizzie Bennett Diaries, but we told a lot of people it's going to be like the Lizzie Bennett Diaries. Because at that point, that was the frame of reference.
Yeah, at that point, Lizzie Bennett Diaries was like new.
That's so weird.
I'm not crazy old. It's very weird.
It wouldn't have been 4 years ago. It would have been 3 years ago.
And now
say
Taj
that-
Wash is a frame of reference.
Yeah, Taj Wash is the
God.
gold standard now.
Taj Wash,
Aww.
Taj Wash season 2 is the gold standard. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be real.
I'm
There is good
sorry.
stuff in season
There
1,
is
but
good stuff
season
in
2
season
is
1.
much better.
I think
that-
season
that
2 is
TV
very
style.
is much more complete and succinct.
Yeah.
And it has
yeah.
themes. Imagine a web series with themes. So many don't look so. Okay, this is very important. actually. I don't care that it's not about actors. This is really important. When you're writing a web series, seriously think about what you want to say with it, especially, I know in adaptation, it's kind of like, oh, well, I can just use what's already there, but it's always going to change. And, like, you have to have a sort of feeling that you want to come across. You know, even if the plot is kind of squiffy, which it will be for the first show. It definitely will be. But, like, you have to have something. Because there are so many which are just, like, very, very flat. And very, these are the notes of the story.
When you take a material and bring it to another medium, there's going to be extra stuff that you have to address. Like when I moved Blithe Spirit, which is a comedy, broad comedy, dark comedy, but broad comedy, to the modern day, I'm like, wow, this is a story about abusive relationships and trauma now. I guess I have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And, like, that was my first show, and it's by no means good. But it said what I wanted it to say.
Yeah, and that's important. The next point on mine is kind of what actors expect to get in return for being in your web series.
Right.
And then a little bit of a discussion about paying actors versus not paying actors, which I unfortunately have a story about, and I will talk about that. But I actually remember talking about this pretty well because of the story, but generally when you post a casting notice, you generally make the promises within the casting notice as to what the actors will get in return for being in your web series or any other film project, short films, whatever. For an independent project of any kind, the expectation is generally, if it's an unpaid work, is generally they get fed while they're on set and that they get a copy of the project for use in a reel. As well as a credit that they can put on, like, a resume. And I actually remember talking about this last time we did this, Stacey, because you were kind of like, oh, I didn't feed my actors. But I was like, but you probably had snacks in your room that you let them have access to. And you were like, yes. And I was like, that counts as feeding your actors.
Yeah, there's a famed outtake in which Nicolette grabs my 18-pound bag of chocolate chips and just starts noshing.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not, like, saying you need to have, like, a catered meal. Unless it's, like, a really big project with a really big budget. But, like, we always, for Taj Wash, we always had frozen pizzas. And then we'd be like, are you guys hungry? And if enough people were like, yeah, we'd, like, make a frozen pizza for everyone.
Yeah, like, if it's gonna be a long day, you have to, like, set aside time where you're like, this is the time where we're gonna have lunch. Or even if it's not possible to do that, have food on standby so when people aren't in, on set, they can go to another. Yeah, have another room. That's a very important thing, is have another room where actors can go when they're not on set, and just chill.
I know it's hard when you're filming like me in a dorm room, in a 12 by 20 room, and that's your set, and that's it. So what I actually did is for the bigger cast film days, is I knocked on the person I was filming the seance scene in, her room. I knocked on her neighbor's door and was like, hi, do you mind if we kind of hijack your room and make it into sort of green room? And they were like, sure. And so we had
That's very
rooms.
nice of them.
Yes, it was very nice of them. And it was very very
if you're
hot.
filming in a dorm room, and a lot of them are suite style nowadays, where
that's nice.
in terms of, like, there's 2 rooms connected to a bathroom and, like, 4 people share the bathroom, and you get along with your suite mates, you can, just be like, would you mind if we just keep it all open and people can kind of come in? But, ask permission.
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying, but, like, ask permission,
No, I mean,
but yeah.
I have always filmed in houses. I mean, I'm actually very lucky in that between each of the productions that I've done, one of my parents has moved house. So now I'm just like, new set. But, yeah, yeah, that's a good points. Have a bathroom nearby. I know this sounds crazy, but like, you know, these are just things to make sure of.
Yeah, and especially if you're like doing an outdoor scene.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, make sure you're filming somewhere where there's a bathroom nearby, or you have access to a bathroom. You know,
bring along food with you. That's the thing. Because obviously when you're in a house, you can be like, hey, does anyone want water? And then you can go get it and blah, blah, blah. But when you're going, you know, we had a load of like forest scenes, and it was like, okay, everyone bring water bottles. We're going to go down the corner shop and get food and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look out for your actors. Love your actors.
Look out for your actors.
And I think it goes without saying, you know, if you make these promises, you need to pony up on them. You have to provide them. You know, you have to provide that real footage. You have to, you know, credit them in the credits. Because especially if you're pulling from a smaller pool of actors, like Daisy at Agnes Scott, where she's pulling mostly from the theater department, the actors will talk. They'll talk and they'll be like, don't work for this person.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to treat you well. Like that's like an industry, like that's an industry standard of like any industry, you know? You know, everyone knows the managers or whatever that don't treat people as well, or like the jobs that won't treat you as well. Like, you know. So, especially since they're like doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Like they're getting something out of it, but they're still kind of doing you a favor, especially since you're not paying them. It's not really a job. You know, you need to treat them super nicely.
Yeah. It's very difficult to balance that kind of, you need to be the, you know, if you are being the director, you need to be the director, you need to be like, hey, we need to get on, we need to do this, and also, well, what reason do they have to be here? And I guess that mostly comes down to casting, is finding people who are excited about doing the thing. And often you will find people who are, because the thing is, a lot of web series, you know, regardless of web series quality, a lot of them have better, like, opportunities of, like, better stuff to be performing in than, you know, what was it? Road Trip
Beer Pong.
Road
the
Trip
sequel
Beer
to
Pong.
the hit movie Road Trip.
Oh my goodness. Okay, see, that's the thing. Like, you know, so there will be people who are like, okay, this looks like interesting stuff, I'm into it, and basically what it comes down to is the first show will always be not amazing, but if it's something you really want to do, then you have to do that, and you have to keep like working at it and trying, and that'll expand your reach in terms of finding people, because you know, there's a few, actually, I think all of the boys except one who were in my, I'll tell a lie, except two, who were in my first web series, have gone to drama schools, like big proper ones, and so I'm just like, hey, I'm making a thing, can you tell your class about this? Because they know a ton more people now, you know. But
and on the smaller scale, pop into an acting 101 class. Your school has one, probably. I know people who have gone to like STEM focused schools, and they still have a drama club.
Yeah, like legit. Find out who. I mean, if you go to an art school, it's very easy to find this. But find out who is sort of the head of film production or that kind of thing. To find people for crew as well, as well as actors. Yeah, it's good.
I was about to say crew. What is that? But then I realized I am crew on something now.
You are
Daisy.
crew. You are crew. Okay, yeah. Okay, I think it's time for me to talk about the paying versus not paying actor story.
So this is Sarah's story.
It's you know, it's like, it's not even really, yeah, it's not even really my story. It's kind of Shannon's story, but she doesn't like talking about it because it's all part of like a broader like friendship that ended up crashing and burning, and everything was set on fire, and it was terrible. And to this day, I kind of regret like not saying anything about that, like in the moment. But we were both kind of like, oh, we'll take the higher road, and we won't be full of drama. But then I think it left a lot of people thinking that like some stuff that was said was true. And so, but anyway, the point of this story is that we paid actors for Hamlet. I say we, I mean Shannon and Nicole, because I wasn't as involved in Hamlet, and I'm not involved at all in Dear Natalie with my current schedule, unfortunately. But there was people that were paid for Hamlet, and at the time Shannon was between jobs, and so we had kind of a narrow budget, and I actually helped her figure out the payments for Hamlet, because I used to really want to be an actor, which is really weird to say, and I did do some shoots that I got paid for, mostly extra work, but like I figured out like what the price point, not the price, like what the hourly wage should be. It was about like $10 an hour, so not minimum wage, like above minimum wage, but still not great. And we'd all throughout Taj Watch, we'd really wanted to pay our actors. And we were like, oh, the next project we have money, we really want to pay our actors. We really want, because we also kind of thought that it would like help actors stay, which every web series has had a problem with. And we're going to talk about later in the episode. It's on my outline about like what to do when an actor drops out. But in the midst of this other like thing that was going on involving Shannon and kind of I and like another friend of ours, one of the actors in Hamlet posted accusing us of posted on Tumblr, like never like went to us directly and expressed their concern, like posted on Tumblr that we had underpaid them. And then like blocked Shannon, so Shannon couldn't even see the post. And it was like this real, I don't even know how to describe it. It's been so long since like I've seen it, but it was just very much like taking the stance of the victim. And I don't know. And it, you know, it was like this like really awful accusation, and that we paid them like vastly under minimum wage for the work that they did and like all this other stuff. But they never came to us and like discussed it with us, like how much they were being paid or anything like that. Like it was just like a really weird situation, and it was all part of like this broader thing that was going on. But because of that, I'm not sure that Shannon would ever, like, I don't want to speak for her, but I don't think she'll ever want to go and pay actors ever again.
Unless it's that. Like a bigger production, I assume, but...
Yeah. And it's, like I said, it was all part of, like, a broader thing that was going on.
Yeah. But it's so, it's so difficult, I guess, to get what the rates are supposed to be and that kind of thing. But,
yeah, if I could go, like if, I think now if I paid an actor, because I also think that particular person thought that they were being paid for 2 days of work when they were only paid for 1. Because they were on set for 2 days, but they only worked for 1 day, if that makes sense. And if that's the case, then I can understand where they were coming from, but they still didn't come talk to us about it. They just made a big Tumblr post and then blocked Shannon, so it was weird. It was it was all part of a broader thing that was going on. So I guess if I was to go and pay people for acting, like if during Gay Pride and Prejudice I pay people, I would probably walk through with them what their rates were going to be.
Yeah.
And how many hours I expect for them to film or whatever. Or I would make it a flat rate.
A flat rate. Yeah, that's the most important thing with thinking about money is if you say you're doing this per hour, then you have to be like way more cognizant of how long things are taking you and not run over that. You know, you have to have a set schedule and be doing it way more predictably, which is really difficult with web series because you're working around other people's schedules. But the other thing is doing it for a flat fee, which I actually think can be better in some ways. If you're like, hey, if you do this job, then you'll get paid this amount of money, and that's that. You know.
Yeah, by and far, I think I was paid flat fees when I did acting.
I think generally, the thing is that mostly works for shoots that are like 2 or 3 days, but web series will probably be more than that. What I've generally done, I did this a bit in the first one, but what I've done since then is go sort of, we will pay a percentage of travel expenses, and we will pay all food costs, all other expenses, and obviously buying costume and props. Basically, you know, web series isn't a thing that I think any of us can do for profit at the moment. It's all putting back stuff back in. So I think, you know, because what I say is we pay a percentage of travel expenses because we will not be able to pay for the full thing. And percentage is way better because you can go, you know, we ended up paying 60 or 65, I think 60% of travel expenses across UNUPs. Across the UNUPs Britain, obviously. I just do the sort of accounting for this side. But that was good because it means everyone gets the same sort of everyone gets the same amount covered. And it isn't like we're spending way more money on one person than the other. I mean, it's still, you know, some people will be more, some people will be less, but or there's that, or there's putting a cap on it. So like, you know, £5 a day, or I don't know what that would be in dollars, but like £5 a day travel or £5 a day food, because, you know, well, that's the kind of thing. Like I did, I worked on a stage production a few years ago, and I was part of the chorus, but it was technically volunteering work. And because it was voluntary, they didn't, you know, they weren't paying us anything, but they would cover food expenses and travel expenses. They cover travel expenses, just anything. If we brought in a receipt, which I've always asked my cast to do, ask them to email you, this is my PayPal receipt for my ticket, and then just £5 for food a day. And that works, you know?
Yeah, and that's a good way. I would probably, that's another thing I might go with that. It's just a little bit different travel expenses wise, US versus UK, because in the US it would probably be gas money.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK you've got like set ticket prices.
Yeah.
Because
so
everyone's like taking the
guess
trains.
At that point you'd be like, well, yeah, like I've had we've had a couple of actors who it's petrol, and then it's just like, okay, I spend a tenner on petrol, here's how long it takes to get from where I was to yours, etc., and then we'll just reimburse as much as we see fit in that kind of thing. But yeah, you know, work out whatever works best for you, but I think it's always better to go with tangible things that you can easily count up and be like, okay, this is definitely, this is this is that, and the other. Because so many web series people are doing it all yourselves, and you don't have a dedicated accounting team or anyone, you know, anyone sorting out a budget or whatever. So you've got to find a system and be able to stick to it.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't know what you're doing, as long as other people think you do.
Yeah, and I don't want my story to like dissuade people from paying actors, because I think it's important. Like, actors deserve to be paid for their work just as much as like we, like, creators deserve to be paid for their work, even though if it's not possible with web series. I know, I'm like just saying, like, in general. You know, it's important. I'm just saying that, like, in hindsight, we should have had more specific parameters.
Right.
And also that particular person should have come in and told us their issues rather than making a public Tumblr post about it and then blocking all of us. Because, like, what does that even achieve? Mm-hmm. So that's also for the actors out there. If you have an issue, take it up with the directors or the producers. Like, don't make a... Yeah.
Well, I mean,
anyway,
it's the kind of thing where it's like, if someone has legitimately cheated you of something or whatever, but yeah, do go to them first and be like, hey, this has happened, can you tell me what's going on or sort it out? Because obviously I know it's incredibly difficult, like, when you feel like you've been left in the dark or anything, and a lot of the time it will just be like forgetfulness. I know it sounds crazy, but they can be like, oh my god, I totally missed that, thank you for telling me, here's your thing or whatever. But yeah, go to the people first, and then if they're still like if they haven't explained it properly, then you can make a fuss. But let them know first.
Yeah.
Don't block people and be catty on Tumblr before. Like, if you block them, how
general
are they
life
gonna
advice.
know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, don't do it until you've confronted them if it's someone that you know, and stuff. But yeah. What's next, Sarah?
When an actor drops out, because they will.
They definitely will.
I'm just going to talk from, in the duration of filming Tajwash, we had both of Jamie's love interests dropped out at one point. We had one actor that completely ghosted us. Like, literally, we tried to get in contact with him. That was John, Eliza's boyfriend. We tried to get in contact with him repeatedly to get him into film, and he never responded ever again. He filmed, like, one day with us and never came back.
He was just gone.
Just gone. We had an actor had to pull out of Hamlet due to family things going on with their family. We had to recast. Eddie Rex, we had multiple actors like drop in and out until we managed to like find some. Like, that happened. I think like half the roles in Eddie, like half of them, like the main roles in Eddie Rex, we had someone slated to be in them, and then we had to find someone else at last minute.
Yeah.
Guys, tell your actors dropping out stories.
Actors dropping out stories. Okay. I mean, the first show I did, I was really lucky. I only had one person drop out, and it was a very small role. So I was able to, call up a friend and be like, hey, help me. And she came in and just did a couple of scenes. So that was good. I've had people drop out during audition processes. That happens a lot when you think you've got... So don't make decisions until you've made the decision, Don't call people to say they've been rejected until you've definitely got the person you want in it. Because there's people who can't do it due to illness, there's other stuff like that. This in Unups this year.
Sometimes they just get a paying job.
Yeah, no, literally, Unups this year. There's a guy. He only had 2 scenes, so it was okay. But he got offered a gig in Spain, so he went and did that. He said, "I'm flying out tomorrow," and I was like, well, okay. Okay. We'll just not have you there then. But, yeah, that kind of thing happens,
I was lucky. I didn't have anybody drop out of School Spirit. But this year, when I was working on Shakespeare, I was asked to drop out. I was originally cast in it as Ben, because look at me. Don't I look like a frat boy? But then they're like, can you just work on crew? I'm like, please. And then the person that got to play Ben was absolutely perfect for the role. And, God bless her. And then when I was casting Blythe Spirit, which is my final for a directing class, in which we basically had to do the same thing, ask actors to work uncompensated and pay them in candy. I asked somebody to play Madame Arcadi, and she replied that she couldn't because of softball. And then I texted Cameron, who's playing Hamlet in Shakespeare, and they were like, all right, yeah, sure, why not? The day of the first rehearsal.
Wow.
Thank the Lord above.
Yeah. I mean, oh, God. It's very difficult to sort that out when actors do drop out, but it's, if you can recast, and if you think you can do it in time, then do that. If you think you can rewrite the scene to not have them in, or to give their lines to someone else, giving lines to other people has been like a mainstay of my shows. It's just been like going through, especially exposition-y scenes, it's like, well, they could say that, or, well,
Yeah,
this
they're
character,
around.
you know, this character could be off screen for this point, and we can just get them to email me their lines read out loud. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, just dealing with people's availability. But yeah, when people drop out, if you can recast in time, then recast. If you can't, or if they've already done some, then try and just rewrite and work around it. It's tricky to do, but it must be done.
Yes. Honestly, actors dropping out is, like, my biggest reason why I'm, like, film everything before you air. Because you never know.
That's true.
And if they drop out in the middle of filming, you can very quickly recast and reshoot, and you haven't posted anything of the original actor. So no one even needs to know. Unless you've, like, done an official cast announcement, and then you can just follow it up with being like, so unfortunately, Ingrid Nixie had to drop out,
I
Daisy
did.
Johnson is playing the role of the Little Mermaid. I
You're
don't know.
welcome.
That was
Wow. I hope I had a paying job instead, and I wasn't just
Yes, you
ill.
did. Yes, you did. You're
I'm
playing
the real Little Mermaid
you're-
on Broadway.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Speaking of which, why hasn't there been a Little Mermaid web series? Someone get
Ooh,
on
there
that.
should
Like just a
be.
fairy tales web series.
No, a fairy tale web series would be really good. Someone should do that.
Yeah.
No, it would. I mean, especially lesser known fairy
Yeah.
tales, because so many of them are public domain, and like people won't know shit, and you don't have to make a plot. So
Get a copy
stuff.
of Grimm, just go.
Just go. But
Don't do like all the one about the king who marries his daughter, but yeah, there's so many other great ones.
others, you know. No one do the Tempest, because spoilies, this one's doing it.
Yay!
Yeah. So that's the thing that's going to be really difficult to cast, because I kind of want to do an all-trans production.
Yes, cast trans actors and trans roles.
Cast trans actors and trans roles. I'm legitimately just going to make the Tempest where the gender is fucked with completely, and it's going to be great.
I mean, because Tempest is one of the ones that's, like, very, like, there's a lot of non-binary
Yeah.
characters, because there's, like, fairies and stuff.
Well, yeah, there's Ariel, who I
And
don't know.
what's his face?
And, Caliban.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just gonna be great, and there are gonna be, stoner lesbians, which is always the best thing.
I had the very happy problem of too many boys in a scene at Agnes Scott College.
Oh my god!
Yes, I cast my two baby first-year trans dude actors in By Spirit, and one of them was like, oh, this character is a girl, and I was like, are you okay playing a girl? And he was like, eh. So I changed it to a guy, and I was like, huh, that's the first time, I think, in Agnes Scott
Yeah.
history that a female character had to be changed to a male character.
That happens so
Snap for
much in web
Daisy.
series. Web series is all girls all of the time.
Yeah, which is acting anything, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for
That's
the
drama in
big
general.
Hollywood productions.
But I mean,
yeah.
Why nobody does
Prepare
12
for
Angry
that.
Men anymore.
I get so, honestly, I get so freaking pissed off at schools where they do, like, male-dominated plays and stuff, and they're like, well, we don't want to confine it, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you're going to have, like, 30 women doing nothing, like, just dancing. You're gonna have a chorus just full of girls, and 4 boys...
Guys and dolls. Guys and dolls.
You know, exactly. 4 boys, 3 of whom can't act, playing principal roles. And it makes me really, really angry. I'm just like, Jesus.
Guys and dolls.
Just make girl-led plays. Please.
Yeah, why can't some of the guys and dolls be played by women?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
dear
this
high
is the
school
one in
drama teachers
particular.
who I'm sure are listening to this podcast. Carol Churchill. Look her up. She's got so many all-female ensemble plays that are perfection.
I mean, there are so many, like, you know, musicals that would work really well, but they never do them. Makes me damn mad. But anyway.
Women on the verge of a nervous breakdown. That's great. Women-led musical.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. So do you think we've covered? I think we've covered pretty much actors dropping out. Just post about it. Be like, we're recasting if you're airing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think I talk about this in like filming and stuff. I really recommend that you record everything and then you air.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier. It's easier on you. It's easier on everyone. Like, because then if you don't announce an air date, then no one knows if you go 3 weeks over schedule.
Yeah.
Like it's so much easier. And
like, I know there are a lot of people where it's like, I want to get this out now, I want to announce things now, and it's just like, you need to be sure.
And if you have a long show, maybe throw a hiatus in there while you film the second half like I did.
Yeah, which is what real productions do.
Mid-season finale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, okay, can you guys, I'm going to open the floor to you. Can you think of anything you'd like to say about casting or actors?
Get to know your actors, get to know what they can do, love them, hold them, treasure them.
Yeah, get to know what they can do is a very important thing, actually. I think over the past, especially, I've been doing Unups for 2 seasons now, and you learn who is capable of what, and who can learn, pages of script in 2 days, and then just go, and who needs those cuts, needs those vlogging cuts. And
this is us. Sorry, finish, Ingrid.
No, I mean, I think I must have mentioned this at some point before, but I did actually, I have a thing of throwing Haribo at them when they get their lines right, because it's nice,
good.
positive reinforcement.
Candy.
Pavlov them.
Yes.
But I was gonna say, a lot of, because I remember this from being an actor, a lot of people will be like in acting classes and stuff, they'll be like, on your resume, put skills that you can do in productions, and they're always like put something that's a little odd or stands out or something. Put you can sing,
juggling.
You've played the piano for 3 years, but you could juggle, or you could do a really good impression of a cat. Or something like that. And so then if you, as a producer or a director or producer, director, everything, sees that on a resume, try to include those skills as well.
Yeah, Cameron, who played Madame Riccardi in my directing scene, she can do a spot on Effie Trinket. And I was like, okay, so you can do a somewhat kooky but also vaguely British accent? Oh, heck yeah, that's perfect for Madame Riccardi. Do it. And she did it, and my director was like, wow, that's amazing. How were you able to teach her this? And I was like, shh.
I totally taught that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But if I'm not saying that if they have on there that they know how to water ski, don't write in a water skiing scene.
Yeah, but,
unless you can, in which
That's
case,
literally jumping the shark.
go for it. Pride and Prejudice, but on water skis.
No, I know. Unup's musical episode coming 2040.
You guys know that's literally how the jumping the shark trope started, is that
Yes.
on Happy
Yes.
Days, the guys' parents were like, hey, don't forget to tell them that you can water ski. And so eventually, they were like, hey, you can water ski. We may as well do a water skiing scene.
Yeah.
Just for all the listeners.
But, you know, if one of your actors can play the piano really well, you know, there's nothing stopping you from including, like, a little piano sequence. Or maybe, oh my gosh, this would be really cool. If one of your actors can play the piano, have them play a classical piece for you to use as music.
Oh, dang. Good shit.
Why haven't we done this?
I mean, I
we don't
literally
have a
had
piano.
Natalie do so much music for me. She was very good.
Yes. That's such a good use of actors.
Yeah. If you cast people who can sing, then be like, hey, do a singing vlog so that we can pad this.
Jennifer Catania.
Jennifer
Catania.
Jennifer
Catania, come to England and be in my show.
Yeah, Jen.
You travel.
She might listen. She's on this podcast.
Jen,
so.
please. I know that you're in love with the iceberg, but this is more important. Come and be in my show, which includes a Wicked parody. Spoiler alert for anyone who's going to end up seeing that show, but it's going to be great. It's going to be really
Honestly,
good.
if you can... honestly, Jen travels a lot, so if you can, like, hook it up...
If she's in London next
so
year,
that-
then, like, dude.
Jennifer Catania.
I mean, yeah, we're writing at the moment.
Webseries actor troubadour. Traveling from
Yeah,
place
yeah,
to
'cause she
place,
went-
acting in web series.
You know what? Can I just
Yeah,
give...
she went to Australia this year.
Yeah. I know. Can I just give a shout out to B. Mast, who plays Wally in the Uncanny Upshurs, but can I just give a shout out to his college for sending him for a semester abroad in London? So we were able to make a thing with the two kids. It was very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I don't know if I just missed you guys talking about it or whatever, which is totally possible, but I had no idea. So I
No.
started watching that episode and I was like, holy shit!
Yay! No, we didn't tell anyone about it. We were gonna try and make it like a
Eddie Rex style long con.
Eddie Rex style long con. Nah, but it was just kind of like fun. Nah, but we didn't tell anyone. Well, we told Daisy about it. We didn't tell anyone else. We told Daisy about it because we were Skyping Daisy like 2 days after we'd figured out we could do it, and we were like, oh my god!
Yeah, you have to tell someone.
Yeah.
Or else you'll just explode.
But we couldn't tell Nicole because Nicole is the Eddie Rex long con dirtbag.
Yep.
I love you, Nicole.
I was complacent in the long con.
I have to go.
Oh, okay, bye.
Okay.
No,
well,
I can't.
wait,
Not,
well,
I'm not
thank
just
you
gonna
guys
leave.
for
I'm like,
listening.
I need to clean because I have to leave the dorm for a month. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but super quick. So we'll end this now.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you for enjoying this May to December.
May December romance.
May December romance.
May December romance, and it was so good.
Watch all of the shows that are coming out.
Please, especially Dear Natalie. It's a Christmas Carol.
Watch
It's Christmas.
Dear Natalie. Watch Unup Season 2.
Watch Poe Party, the
Watch
stage adaptation.
Poe Party, the stage adaptation. Watch a Skype Call with My Grandma by Jules Piggott.
Listen to Compatible.
Oh yeah,
Listen to
Daring
Compatible.
Fables.
Listen to Daring Fables.
Watch
and
Rewrite Star
watch
Wars.
Daisy's Shakespeare thing. Watch We Make Star
Rewrite
Wars. That's the best show.
Watch Shakespeare when it comes out under a different name around spring break.
Okay, yeah, do that. Well, we don't know when this is coming out.
I love you all.
I love you all too.
I'm literally gonna edit this tonight and then start dropping these
yeah,
episodes like they're
good
hotcakes.
shit. Yeah.
Be all like, do you want to make a show? Is that your New Year's resolution? Have I got
that's so
something for
clever.
you,
Okay,
bitches?
This
I have like
show
7
I
pounds
filmed
of
a year ago.
7 tons of trash under my bed, and I need to clear it out.
Okay, bye, Daisy.
All right, well, thank you all for listening, and have a wonderful
bye,
holiday.
Have a great time. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.